Toyota sold 11.3 million vehicles last year, more than any automaker on Earth, for the sixth year running. And while the rest of the industry scrambled to go fully electric, nearly half those sales were hybrids. What nobody knew until recently was that Toyota has been quietly developing a next-generation plug-in hybrid with over 124 miles of pure electric range, a system the company calls the practical BEV. If that number holds up, it changes the math on whether anyone actually needs a full electric car. And that is exactly what Toyota is counting on. Nobody was paying much attention to Toyota's hybrid research labs a few years ago. The headlines belong to Tesla deliveries, BYD expansion records, and government mandates pushing for zero emissions by 2035. Toyota looked like the old guard, the company still clinging to combustion engines while the future zoomed past in a silent electric blur. That perception was wrong, and the numbers prove it. In 2025, Toyota posted record global sales of 11.3 million vehicles. The Toyota and Lexus brands alone moved 10.5 million units, up 3.7% from the year before. In the United States, Toyota sales climbed 7.3% to nearly 3 million vehicles, even while absorbing tariff costs that would have crippled smaller competitors. In Europe, hybrids made up over 67% of Toyota sales. In Japan, that number hit 59%. Even in China, where local electric vehicle makers like BYD dominate, Toyota's hybrid ratio surged by 14 percentage points in a single year. Think about that for a second. The company everyone called slow and outdated just posted the biggest sales numbers in automotive history, and it did it not by chasing the electric vehicle trend, but by doubling down on what it already does better than anyone else. So why does that matter for what comes next? Because it means when Toyota announces a major technology shift, it is not a startup making promises. It is the largest car company in the world backing a strategy, with real production volume and a dealer network that spans every continent. Now here is where the story gets more complicated, because the electric vehicle narrative you hear in headlines does not match what is actually happening on the ground. The pitch is simple. Electric vehicles are the future. Zero emissions, cheaper fuel costs, better acceleration, and eventually lower prices as battery technology improves. That story sounds clean and inevitable. It is also incomplete. Charging time is still a real friction point. A petrol car fills up in 5 minutes. Even the fastest DC chargers take 30 to 40 minutes to get an electric vehicle battery from 10 to 80%. And that is under ideal conditions. Normal home charging can take 8 hours or more. If you live in an apartment without a dedicated charger, or if you regularly drive between cities where charging stations are sparse, that gap matters every single day. Then there is the battery itself. In most electric vehicles, the battery pack represents 30 to 40% of the vehicle's total cost. When that battery degrades after 5 to 7 years, replacing it can cost thousands of dollars, sometimes more than the car is worth on the second-hand market. That is not a theoretical concern. It is already showing up in used electric vehicle resale data. And range anxiety has not disappeared, it has just gotten quieter. People do not talk about it as much because early adopters tend to live into cities with good infrastructure. But outside those corridors, in developing countries, rural areas, and entire continents where fast charging stations barely exist, the reality is very different from the ads. This is the gap Toyota identified years ago, and this is exactly where its next-generation plug-in hybrid is designed to land. Toyota's executive vice president Hiroki Nakajima confirmed that the company is building a new generation of plug-in hybrids with a pure electric driving range exceeding 200 kilometers, which translates to over 124 miles. For context, the current Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid offers about 44 miles of electric range. So this is not a minor bump. It is roughly tripling the electric capability of their plug-in system. The way Toyota describes this new architecture is revealing. They are calling it the practical BEV, the battery electric vehicle, not a hybrid that happens to have a plug. A plug-in hybrid that functions as an electric car for daily use, with a petrol engine standing by for longer trips when charging is not convenient. That framing is deliberate, and it tells you exactly where Toyota thinks the market is headed. The fifth-generation hybrid system underneath is built around 3 core components working in coordination. A more compact and efficient petrol engine, a more powerful electric motor, and a higher capacity battery pack. In city driving, the system runs primarily on electric power. The petrol engine stays off, and the experience is nearly identical to driving a full electric vehicle. Quiet, smooth, zero local emissions. When you need highway speed or are running low on charge, the petrol engine kicks in seamlessly through an electronically controlled, continuously variable transmission, which distributes power without the driver doing anything. And every time you brake, regenerative braking captures kinetic energy and feeds it back into the battery. Honestly, the engineering elegance here is hard to overstate. You get 124 miles of electric driving for your daily commute. That covers the vast majority of trips people actually make. And for the one weekend a month when you drive 4 hours to visit family, you just keep going. No charging stop, no route planning, no anxiety. That solves the real problem most buyers are quietly worried about. But technology only matters if the price makes sense. And this is where plug-in hybrids start to look genuinely threatening to the full electric vehicle model. A full electric vehicle in the mid-range segment typically costs significantly more than a comparable hybrid, and the battery is the main reason. When the battery accounts for 1/3 or more of the sticker price, the economics tilt against buyers who are price conscious. Plug-in hybrids use a smaller battery. That smaller battery costs less to produce, costs less to replace if something goes wrong, and puts less strain on the global supply of lithium and cobalt. The result is a vehicle that can arrive at showrooms at a lower price point while still delivering the electric vehicle experience for most daily driving. Running costs tell a similar story. Home charging is cheap, and a plug-in hybrid with 124 miles of electric range means most owners would rarely burn petrol in normal commuting. But when they do, fuel efficiency stays high because the hybrid system optimizes between electric and combustion power. Compare that to a full electric vehicle owner who relies on public fast charging, where per kilowatt-hour costs in some markets have risen to the point where they approach petrol prices. The cost advantage of going fully electric is not as clear-cut as it seemed 2 years ago. Maintenance is another quiet win. Fewer moving parts in an electric vehicle should mean lower maintenance in theory. But battery-related repairs remain expensive and unpredictable. Toyota hybrids, meanwhile, have decades of reliability data behind them. Taxi fleets around the world run Toyota hybrids past 300,000 kilometers without major issues. That track record is not marketing. It is observable reality that shows up in every reliability survey. Resale value increasingly favors hybrids. Buyers in the secondhand market are wary of used electric vehicle batteries with unknown degradation. Hybrid resale remains strong because the technology is proven, trusted, and does not carry the same uncertainty. Now zoom out from individual buyers to the global stage, because this is where Toyota's strategy becomes a serious challenge for companies that went all in on electric. Tesla's approach has always been clear: full electrification, no compromise. That vision built an incredible brand and pushed the entire industry forward. There is no question about that. But it also means Tesla is completely dependent on charging infrastructure, battery costs, and grid capacity improving at a pace that matches its production targets. In markets where those conditions exist, Tesla thrives. In markets where they do not, growth has stalled. Toyota's approach is the opposite. It calls it the multi-pathway strategy. Instead of betting on a single technology, Toyota invests across hybrids, plug-in hybrids, battery electric vehicles, and hydrogen fuel cells simultaneously. Chairman Akio Toyoda has been blunt about why. He predicts battery electric vehicles will capture about 30% of the global market, not 100%. The remaining 70%, he argues, will be served by hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and other technologies depending on what each region actually needs. That is a bold prediction in a world where regulators and headlines suggest the opposite. But the sales numbers back him up so far. And this is what makes the clash so fascinating. It is not just two companies competing. It is two fundamentally different theories about what the future of transportation looks like. Consider the global picture. In Europe and parts of China, electric vehicle infrastructure is growing fast, and government incentives push buyers toward full electric. In those markets, electric vehicles will continue gaining share. But Europe and China are not the whole world. India, Southeast Asia, Africa, Latin America, and large parts of the Middle East still lack basic charging networks. For billions of potential car buyers in those regions, a plug-in hybrid with 124 miles of electric range and no dependency on charging stations is not a compromise. It is the most practical vehicle available. Supply chain dynamics add another layer. The global rush toward electric vehicles has spiked demand for lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Prices for these raw materials have been volatile, and extraction carries its own environmental footprint. Plug-in hybrids ease that pressure because their batteries are smaller and require fewer critical minerals per vehicle. If the entire world tries to go full electric at once, the supply chain may not be able to keep up. Toyota's approach spreads that demand across a longer timeline. That helps global supply stability. And here's the part that ties everything together. When a person walks into a dealership today, they're not thinking about geopolitics or mineral extraction. They're thinking about reliability, running costs, and whether the car will still be worth something in 5 years. This is where Toyota has built something that goes beyond any single engine or battery technology. Toyota vehicles have a reputation for lasting a very long time without significant problems. This is not just brand loyalty talking. Independent reliability studies consistently rank Toyota at or near the top globally. Hybrid models specifically have proven themselves over millions of units and hundreds of thousands of kilometers per vehicle. The ownership experience is predictable in the best possible way. You buy the car, you drive it, and it does not surprise you with expensive failures. That is plain reliability. For plug-in hybrid owners, that experience gets even better. High electric mode mileage in the city, strong fuel economy on highways, manageable maintenance because the engine and motor share the workload, and solid resale value because the market trusts the technology. That combination means the total cost of owning a Toyota plug-in hybrid, from the purchase price through 5 or 7 years of daily use, often comes out more favorable than owning a comparably priced electric vehicle. The math favors ownership value, and that is the calculation that could reshape the auto industry. Not a flashy announcement, not a concept car, a quiet, boring, mathematical truth that millions of buyers around the world are starting to discover for themselves. The company that was called too slow might have been exactly on time. While others race toward a future that is still arriving unevenly, Toyota built the bridge that connects where most of the world actually is to where it is eventually going. Whether you agree with their strategy or not, the numbers suggest the market is listening, and when 11.3 million buyers choose the same company in a single year, that is not an accident. That is a signal. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective on where the auto industry is actually headed, subscribe to the channel. The next video goes deeper into the battery technology race, and why the winner might not be who you expect.